In 1944, an entire American Army division was fake. Tanks, trucks, artillery, all of it fake. About 1,100 men built it, from scratch, out of rubber, sound and lies. Officially, they were called the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops. Unofficially, everyone just called them the Ghost Army. And for over 50 years, none of this was allowed to be public. The Army didn't recruit typical soldiers for this unit. They recruited artists, designers, sound engineers. Future fashion designer Bill Blass served in this unit. So did future painter Ellsworth Kelly. This wasn't really a fighting unit. It was a traveling, weaponized performance. Let's start with the simplest trick. Each fake tank weighed about 93 pounds. 4 men could lift one and inflate it in under 20 minutes. From a few hundred feet up, it looked exactly like the real thing. Real tank formations, real supply convoys, all of it rubber, all of it fake. But they didn't stop at the tanks themselves. Fake tire tracks were dragged into the mud, by hand. Laundry was hung out to dry, like real soldiers actually lived there. German reconnaissance planes photographed entire divisions that didn't exist. Back home, factory workers were assembling these tanks too. Ordinary people building an army that would never fire a single shot. This alone bought real units time to move, undetected. But tanks you can only fool from a distance. So the unit built something stranger. Massive speakers mounted on trucks, playing pre-recorded battle sound. Engines idling, tank treads grinding, men shouting orders. Engineers actually helped design the recordings for maximum realism. Some of these speakers could be heard up to 15 miles away. At night, German listening posts logged what sounded like an armored column. There was no column, just speakers in an empty field. This wasn't fooling what the enemy could see anymore. It was fooling what they could hear, in the dark, with no way to check. Now here's where it gets stranger than props and speakers. The unit didn't just fake equipment, they faked identities. Radio operators impersonated entire real divisions, call signs and all. Soldiers sewed on the shoulder patches of units they weren't part of. They even painted the wrong markings on their own vehicles. Then they'd walk into local cafés, in character, for hours at a time, talking, drinking, dropping small fake details in case spies were listening. Some men held the act for days, weeks even, not just deceiving the enemy, actually living as someone else. Their own official history described it like actors in a repertory theatre, except the entire German army was the audience. And a wrong performance could get real soldiers killed. So did any of this actually matter in a war this size? In March 1945, it mattered more than almost anything they'd done. The real Ninth Army needed to cross the Rhine River, undetected. The Ghost Army staged an entire fake crossing, miles away. Fake radio traffic, fake convoys, fake troop noise, night after night. German forces shifted their attention toward the fake crossing point. Meanwhile, the real army crossed, largely unopposed, exactly as planned. It's considered one of the unit's largest, most successful operations. And despite rarely carrying weapons, they operated dangerously close to the actual front lines. Historians credit this kind of deception with saving thousands of real lives, lives that exist today because of an operation built entirely on lies. So what do you call people who saved lives by lying? Here's the part worth sitting with. Every single day, in ways much smaller than this, you're probably doing some version of the same thing. Softening a reaction, so someone else doesn't have to worry. Sounding more confident than you feel, in a room that needs it. Performing calm for a kid, a parent, a partner, mid-crisis. None of that feels like lying, in the moment. It feels like care. The Ghost Army wasn't honored for honesty. Decades later, they got a Congressional gold medal for exactly the opposite. So was any of it actually dishonest or just protective? Maybe the performance isn't always the betrayal. Maybe sometimes the performance is the protection. Most people never get a medal for it, decades later. So let's go back to 1944, an entire division built from rubber, sound and performance. Not one real tank in the whole operation. And soldiers alive today who were never told exactly why. Because somewhere in a quiet French field, a fake army did its job perfectly. If this made you think differently, even for a second, hit subscribe. We ask what if every week. See you in the next one.